The night road was thin and black. It cut through woods and salt air. Winter had gone, but the wind still bit. People in town said the road was lonely. They called it Route 9. They did not like to drive there after dark. The trees leaned in too close. The air grew heavy. They said it felt like holding your breath for miles. Tom drove it every week. He had to. The mill was at one end. His house was at the other. He knew the road. He thought it was just a road. He liked the quiet. He drove a heavy old truck. The engine rumble was a familiar friend. He kept the radio low, just a whisper of static and country music. The road lights passed like slow, rhythmic beats. They made the dark woods darker between their yellow pools. He knew the potholes by heart. He knew the curve where the frost always stayed late into spring. He knew the trees that leaned in like they were listening for secrets. He was not afraid of the road. He was used to it. One night, he saw a deer on the shoulder. It lay half in the muddy ditch. Its legs were folded wrong, bent at angles that made his stomach clench. The deer must have hit a car. A bad hit. Tom slowed his truck, the headlights painting the animal in a stark white glare. He sat in his cab and stared through the dusty windshield. He felt the kind of deep, waiting calm that comes right before a storm breaks. He did not get out of the truck. There was nothing to do. In the morning, he drove the same road home. The sun was pale, but it was light. The deer was gone. He slowed his truck at the spot, looking for it. There was no blood on the asphalt. There were no drag marks in the soft mud of the ditch. The ditch was smooth, as if nothing had ever disturbed it. Tom figured the driver who hit it must have come back. They must have moved it to be respectful. He put the truck in gear and drove on, the image of the empty ditch sticking in his mind. 2 nights later, a raccoon lay at the side of the road. Its small body was a dark lump against the pale gravel. Its belly was flat and horribly still. Tom drove closer, his headlights catching the delicate fur, the small, perfect paws. He saw the raccoon had been small and pretty, not a big old brawler. He felt a familiar pit forming in his stomach. He did not stop this time. He just kept driving, his hands tight on the steering wheel. In the morning, the raccoon was gone. No sign, just empty gravel. After that, things changed in small, quiet ways. A fox on one night, its red fur like a flame against the black tar. A skunk the next, a soft mound of black and white. It was always the same strange pattern, dead at night, gone by morning. No animal lovers came through these woods at dawn. No calls to the police about clearing the road. The town thought roadkill was a normal, sad part of life. Tom started to think it was odd. The neatness of it, the absolute lack of any trace left behind. The animals kept coming back. They did not just disappear anymore. They returned. Some crawled slowly from the ditches, their movements stiff and uneven. Some appeared by the trees, standing just at the edge of the headlight beams. They showed up in the same calm, quiet places where they had died. They did not run from the noise of his engine. They came close to the road and watched. Their bodies were whole again, but their eyes were not right. They were too wide, too still, like polished stones. He saw small breaks in their skin showing pale, clean muscle underneath, like a doll splitting at the seams. Birds flew with quiet, crooked beats, their wings moving out of sync. A doe walked across the road with a strange, dragging limp. It moved its back leg as if it were an object it had to pull along. The woods fell silent as they appeared. The crickets stopped. The wind seemed to die. The only sound was the low hum of Tom's truck. Tom stopped going home the easy way. He started taking the long town roads, adding 20 minutes to his drive. He told himself it was for a change of scenery. He tried to forget the stillness of the animals, the wrongness in their eyes. But he worked late shifts. Sometimes he had to come back down the dark road. The more he avoided it, the more he felt it pulling him. The more he drove it, the more he saw. They were always there, waiting, watching him pass. One night, he saw many of them. They lined the shoulder from the mill turnoff to the old iron bridge. Crows stood on the fence posts like black feathered soldiers. Squirrels sat very still on the asphalt, their tails flat. A line of deer stood shoulder to shoulder in the ditch. A raccoon sat on the bridge rail and looked right at him. They all watched him drive toward them. They looked like an audience that had been waiting a very long time for the play to begin. Their collective gaze felt heavy, like a physical weight pressing on the truck. Tom stopped his truck. He could not make himself drive through them. Hands on the wheel, motor shaking. Close up, warm motor vibration under his hands. In the sudden silence, he felt small. He felt foolish. He felt deeply afraid. He had to know what this was. He had to see it up close. He opened the heavy door. He stepped out onto the road. The air smelled of wet fur. The air smelled of old, decaying leaves. As he stood, the animals lifted their heads in unison. They made no sound. They just watched his every move. He walked between them. The air was cold on his skin. A fox brushed past his boot, its fur feeling oddly slick. It smelled faintly of iron, like old blood. The deer were there, their long, delicate ears twitching. They did not run as he walked among them. One deer looked at him with eyes like dark, wet coins. As he watched, he saw something move under its skin. It was a slow, mechanical ripple that traveled from its shoulder to its flank, like a wire being pulled taut. He reached the entrance to the bridge. The raccoon on the rail turned its head. It turned it the wrong way, a full circle, until it was looking at him upside down. Then it smiled. It was a slow, toothless curl of its black lips. For a terrifying second, Tom thought it was truly smiling at him. Then its mouth opened wide, wider than a mouth should. The sound that came out was soft and bright and hideously wrong. It was a sound like a baby's cry, mixed with the scrape of metal on stone. Something cold and feathery touched the back of his hand. He looked down. His skin had thin, white lines where something had brushed against it. The lines looked like the impressions left by tiny, hollow bones. He heard a soft scraping sound at the back of his neck, like a claw on wood. He felt a small weight settle on his shoulder, like the gentle pressure of small paws. He froze, his breath catching in his throat. He did not want to turn around. He did not want to see what was touching him. He tried to move. His legs felt slow and heavy, sinking into the asphalt. He reached up a trembling hand to push the weight off his shoulder. His fingers closed on warm fur. It was soft and slick, not coarse like an animal's. He felt it breathe against his neck, a slow, steady rhythm. The breath smelled like the road after a hard rain. He smelled his own breath then, and it tasted like rust. He felt a fox press its cold, wet nose to his ear. It breathed one slow, long breath. He tried to speak, to yell. The sound he made was not his voice. It was high. It was wet. It was broken. It was a sound a person never wants to hear come from their own mouth. It was the sound of something trying to imitate a human voice and failing. And then he realized why the animals came back. They did not come back for their own bodies. They came back for new parts. The road wanted shape. The road was taking things that were lost and putting them back together. Wrong. He stumbled back, away from the bridge. The animals closed in. They did not rush. They did not show anger. They moved like a hand slowly closing over a candle flame. He felt a puff of air move across his face. He felt a small, sharp beak touch his chin, a delicate testing tap. He looked down at his own hands and they were no longer sure of their shape. His fingers twitched, curling inward toward a paw. He was becoming a collection of things. The raccoon on the rail dropped to the ground. It landed silently at his feet and stared up at him. Its eyes were brighter now, reflecting the distant stars. It looked like it had finally found its proper place. Tom tried to run, but his legs would not listen. He fell to his knees on the cold road. The animals surrounded him in a tight, breathing ring. They leaned in like the wind was pushing them. One by one, they touched him. He felt small bones shift under his skin. He felt a tail brush against his hip. He felt his own voice go thin. He felt his own voice go high. He felt his own voice go strange. They were not killing him. They were claiming him. They were making him part of the road. He looked up and saw a familiar face in the crowd. It was his wife. She had died on this road last year. Her eyes were glassy. Her hand was a wing.